Ted Ryman was on first from Cape Town in the Republic of South Africa. Greg Phillips, as usual, on early from the Gold Coast of Oz. Christopher Gillingham and Jane in Leamington. We're celebrating a young sailor from Leamington today at the in the last leg. Chris Exley in Salem, Mass. Rick Bannerow in Connecticut. Clayton Embley in the Wheelhouse with the Labrador Retriever puppies. Chris Fury in Melbourne. The Dockside Curmudgeon. Greetings from a Michigan snowbird wintering in the warmer Florida Panhandle. Jeff Kitson. Hello, Jeff. Alistair Murray checking in from Meetung. We have an A today, Julia.
Oh, good.
And Alan Long from Lago Vista, Texas. Andrew Pindar, it must be Tuesday. Larry Kennedy from the FIDI in the New York City, Julia. And many more checking in from around the world. I trust you are well.
No.
You're not? What's wrong besides it being kind of rainy and crappy outdoors? It is.
Yeah.
It's raining hard, but, you know, we need the water, right?
We do. We do.
Tier de Jong checking in from SoCal. And Peter Rechenberg is out in Geelong, outside of Melbourne. Bill Haynes, William Haynes, checking in from today, Independence, Missouri. He gets around the center part of the country. Live from Studio B. Good afternoon from San Francisco. Co-host Julia Vedekint is here as always. She's in her tracksuit today.
Yeah, at the behest of our host.
Well, you had it on a couple days ago, and I said, well, why don't you wear that on the show? It looks darn comfortable, and it's going to be rainy and crappy this week. So in honor of you, I wore just a Governor's Cup pullover, a media pullover. And
yeah, very cash.
We're cash and relaxed today. I'm your host, Tom Eaman. Welcome to the show. Let's get into the starting line for show number 910 on a Tuesday. Happy Tuesday and happy, Julia, Horsing Around with Fire Day. Any idea?
No.
Horsing Around with Fire. Then we're going to talk about the SailGP in Auckland last weekend. Tom Slingsby's win. Impressive win. But what about the crash? Going to analyze that a bit. AC38 Cup date. Give you the latest on John Sweeney's threatened lawsuit. He tells me he's going to file in early March against the Royal New Zealand Yacht Squadron. He's already written to the Attorney General of the state of New York. Coaching Corner, Jon Emmett's take on SailGP. He's down there. He was there for the event, and his take on SailGP and the America's Cup, which he now calls extreme sport. Jon Emmett's Coaching Corner. Then the feature today is the Finn Gold Cup. They've got a month of Finn racing at the Royal Queensland. Day 3 of the Gold Cup, and Anders Pedersen from Norway is well and truly dominating that event. As I said, Alistair Murray is in the house, with at least on video, with an AAAA, talking about the World Yacht Racing Forum, which was born as the International Sailing Summit, which Alistair started these many years ago. Last leg, celebrating Johnny Rogers. I think I spelled that wrong. I think it's Jonny Rogers, who is from Royal Leamington Yacht Club, and he's just won the youngster that he is in the Opti class, the Palamos International Optimus Trophy. We'll celebrate him in the last leg. And, of course, this day in history, Whiskey, Tango Foxtrot, and, of course, Julia.
Yes.
Our fantastic Fosie, as you know. So we get into show number 910. Thank you very much for joining us. We appreciate your company on this, as I said, rainy and kind of chilly wintry Tuesday. It's, we never get any snow. It never gets too hot here, at least in San Francisco, at least here in the Marina District. So I like the climate. It's kind of year-round sweater weather, tracksuit.
Yeah,
and I like it. I think it's just fine.
I'm upset that nobody's mentioned. God.
Come on, spit it out. Nobody's mentioned what? Look in the chat. You think about it. You figure out what you were going to say. I distracted you, obviously, talking about tracksuits. Yeah. That's the rundown for the starting line today. And I just wanted to thank, at the top of the show here, Terry Hutchinson, T. Hutch, who was our guest on Friday's show, coming on to make the confirmation of the announcement that, in fact, Doug DeVos, American Magic, had bought the Rockwool Danish SailGP team, and they announced that from Auckland on Thursday, and Terry came on Friday and confirmed all that. We've known about that for some time, and we've been doing the proverbial one here's, and another one of our one here's came true, Julia.
Imagine that.
Imagine that. Oh yeah, they've all got it, Julia. They're talking about the year of the fiery horse, the year of the horse. Today is the Lunar New Year. That's what we're going to be celebrating today.
Yes.
So when you get to it, there's a bit of a hint. I hope you all had a nice Valentine's Day. We ran this on Friday's show in preparation for Valentine's Day. This meme from Greg Phillips. For $850, we'll arrest you in front of your wife one day prior to Valentine's Day and release you the day after. It includes lodging, fishing gear, food, and beer. That was pretty clever. Those of you here in the States, we hope you all celebrated and survived President's Day. President's Day, which isn't that to celebrate the 2 February birthdays of Washington and Lincoln?
And it got to be too many birthdays.
Yeah, like one was the 12th and one was the 22nd or something.
That's
so
right.
They consolidated them on the second or what was yesterday, the third Monday of the month.
So we could have a long weekend.
So we had a long weekend ostensibly. So that's what you in the UK would call a bank holiday. We call it a federal holiday here. That means basically all that means is there's no mail. Everybody more or less still works and carries on. Yeah, we had and you have furniture sales. For some reason, President's Day sales.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know what it is, but I hope you all, however you celebrated it or didn't, had a great President's Day here in the States. Speaking of celebrations, what are we celebrating today, Julia? We just gave it away. It's in the chat. Everybody more or less got it. It's the Lunar New Year, the Chinese New Year.
Yes. I was thinking of I did again, the New Orleans.
You're thinking of Mardi Gras. You said it in the tech check when we were just warming up here.
Right.
Mardi Gras and Carnival and Festival.
Right.
Well, that's going on. It's that time of year. We'll get around to that. A joyous annual celebration, however, is the Chinese or Lunar New Year, of new celebration and new beginnings, family gatherings, and traditional foods steeped in symbolism and rich history. And, of course, it is the year of the horse. And those are the years going back to 06, all the last century, and this is 2026. The 12 animals, the earthly branches, the most common way people identify a year is by its animal. There are 12 animals in the cycle, and the horse is?
Energy.
It's the 7th. It's energy, independence, and a bit of a...
Wandering spirit.
Wandering spirit. But there's more to it because this is... the fire horse, which is something a little more special. To make things even more specific, the 12-year animal cycle is I didn't know this till I prepared this segment last night, is overlaid with a 5-element cycle: wood, fire, earth, metal, and water. Each element lasts for 2 years, 1 yang and 1 yin year. So the fire, we're in the fire element now. The fire adds intensity, passion, and speed to the animal it governs. Hence, 2026 is the year of the fire horse, not just the horse.
Yes.
And why is the fire horse famous? Well, it's in Chinese astrology. The fire horse, specifically the Bing Wu. You think Lily Zhu would be proud of me for saying
Yes.
the Bing Wu year?
Yes.
Is considered one of the most powerful and volatile combinations in the entire 60-year cycle, 5 times 12. Because both the horse and the element of fire are associated with the fire phase, the energy is doubled. This is traditionally seen as a year of extreme highs and lows, massive social changes, and just like you, Julia, a high-octane personality.
Some days.
Chris Fury says he's been burnt by many horses. Andy Cox says the UK is celebrating Shrove Tuesday, or commonly known as Pancake Day. The Brits will, we celebrate that down in New Orleans here too. Clark Chapin, Chinese New Year, the start of Ramadan, and Fat Tuesday, all falling on the same day. A true harmonic convergence, as Joe Holtzman checks in from Estes Park. over in Colorado. Dolly DeVola checking in from Australia. G'day from Sydney, FY. Palm Beach foiled yesterday and looked impressive. Okay. Thanks for that. I had to consult our sailing. You know, we have a little, in addition to Lily Zhu, who has been on this show for the Lunar New Year. She's busy preparing for a match racing event I believe, in New Zealand. Either New Zealand or Australia. They're all down there, John tells me still. But we couldn't consult her, so I consulted Julia, the Sailing Illustrated feng shui expert. You didn't know we had a feng shui expert, did you?
Well, of course.
Well, this is Terry Chow from Hong Kong. She's the Hong Kong-based feng shui consultant. And I consult, not really, but I'd like to call her our consultant. And she tells us via CNN Travel that industries associated with the fire category will dominate in 2026, from technology to anything that generates energy and fire, Julia. So you better get your stock picks, your stock choices lined up here.
Right.
Arts, fashion, and cooking also rely heavily on fire. You can expect these sectors to get more attention. Chow says that the fire influence is going to impact both the weather and people's temperaments.
I believe that.
You're normally fiery, Julia, so what are we going to get now? You're going to go off like a volcano in Hawaii.
No.
You're not? You promise?
No.
So the world should be on the lookout for more heat-related disasters this year, as well as heightened tensions in already heated relationships.
Oh.
I wonder what that means. Okay. Poxy Day, Dockside Curmudgeon is saying. Yeah, John says she is racing in New Zealand. Clay Embley says in Kentucky, it's always the year of the horse.
Of course.
Yeah, my daughter's husband is from Lexington, Kentucky. They have a horse farm there outside of Lexington. And of course, the Kentucky Derby is the famous horse race there. One last note from our famously good SI feng shui consultant, whom I've never met. But for people who do need fire, this can be a very good year. Generally, people born in autumn and winter,
there you go,
such as Sagittarians, benefit from having more fire in their elements. That, of course, is RSI feng shui consultant based in Hong Kong, Terry Chow.
That's lovely.
So happy Lunar New Year, 2026 year of the horse, not only the horse, but of the fire horse. And of course, here in San Francisco, it's all going off because this is Spring Festival is what the Lunar New Year really is.
Right.
And San Francisco has the largest Chinese population, one of the largest Asian populations outside of China.
Yes.
But certainly in the U.S., the largest Chinese population is right here in good old SF in the Bay Area.
And it's been here for a long time.
It has been since the building of the railroad days. A lot of Chinese workers were imported, to put it politely,
Yes.
to build the railroads, for the Transcontinental Railroad, if I remember well.
That's correct.
I remember that like it was yesterday, Julie, in the mid-1800s.
Yes.
Anders Pedersen, we're going to talk about him in a minute. And before we get to that, we got to celebrate, speaking of celebrations, Tom Slingsby and the Bonds Flying Ruse, who did it on Sunday in New Zealand, did it in style, had that great passing move when they tacked for the ley line of the top gate and eclipsed the other two teams beautifully and went on for the win. His first win in a year.
That's incredible.
They haven't won an event for a year. Here he is talking about it after their big victory.
What does it mean to you and the team to get another win?
It's huge, especially celebrating with our biggest fan, you, Lisa. But no, it's been amazing for us to come and win here. It's been a year now since we've last won an event, and yeah, it's been a long time between drinks, but we started super well, and just glad to be rewarded for it, because in those 3-boat finals, anything can happen, and it's nice to win the point score comfortably and then head into the final comfortably. Glenn's obviously sort of new to our team and filling in, but he's done an amazing job, and we wouldn't be in this position with a second and a first in the first two events with anyone else in the world other than Glenn Ashby. So Look, Goobs is going to come back, and we feel like we'll be really strong with Goobs. But Glenn Ashby, if this is the last event he does with us, we're just so indebted to him. And yeah, it's amazing being an Aussie and having someone like Glenn Ashby to call on.
And what a win to do on enemy territory. It's always good to get an Aussie win. What was it like to get another one here?
Yeah, I mean, obviously the Kiwis and the Aussies have a massive rivalry, and it was super sad for us to see what happened yesterday. I mean, we want to compete against the best at all times, and the Kiwis are the best. And for us, them not being out there today, I mean, for sure, it does feel a little hollow because you want to beat the Kiwis in their home turf, and because they're so hard in every sport to beat on their home ground. But look, that's out of our control, and we just had to focus on ourselves. And it actually felt like we had a lot of support today from the Kiwi crowd, which is pretty rare. But I mean, they probably had to choose between us and the Brits, which is never going to be an easy one. But felt like we had a lot of support today.
And next up, Sydney. How much are you looking forward to that one?
Can't wait for Sydney. That's our real home event where most of us are living and born and raised. Perth was amazing, but the Sydney event is important to us. If you could, I said the other day, if you could choose any event in the world to win, it would be the Sydney event for us. So we're going to focus on that now.
Congratulations, Tom. Thank
Cheers.
you.
Thank you.
Sydney coming up in 2 weeks already. I don't think the Kiwis are going to have a boat for that, but we'll see. Alistair Murray saying, how good is the great Gashby? He is amazing. He is an amazing human being and a great sailor, but so too is Tom. Don't you think Tom he's so gracious. He's attractive, both as attractive personality. He's a handsome guy. But you can see why he's been a favorite of mine since forever. Claire Harrington, I think she's fallen in love with him when they did the whole thing in Barcelona as their skipper for American Magic New York Yacht Club. And I know you've got a soft spot in your heart for boat in the Spanish. But they sailed well.
They did, and in the final scoring, they forgot to say that they didn't get any report points for their first game that was subtracted.
Well, let's watch the replay. We've got the 2 minutes summaries of the last of both Saturday and Sunday. Then we're going to delve into the whole crash and what people think about that and the safety issues facing not only SailGP but our beloved sport when we're sailing boats around at 50 plus knots, which means sometimes closing speeds of approaching 100 knots. Let's have a look though at the replay, the wrap up from the first day from Saturday.
Day one of the ITM New Zealand Sail Grand Prix. Strong, gusty winds with a tight race course have had every team on high alert.
Tight in the pack, Emirates GBR, wow, drive it like you stole it, Dylan Fletcher. Oh, it's brilliant out the middle by Rockwell, but it's a sprint now. Bond's Flying Rouge, Slingsby's got the hammer down.
Bond's Flying Rouge, Black Foils and DS Team France were separated by just inches on leg 3. Slingsby split away at gate 3 and found the pressure to give the Aussies the edge they needed to separate them from the pack.
The Bond's Flying Rouge gets the Emirates winning moment here on day number 1, race number 1.
France fought hard for second, and New Zealand had to settle for third.
Very nice, guys.
Race 2 saw Artemis try to get across the top of the fleet, but Brazil's inside line gave them the advantage until the bottom gate.
And at mark number 1, that is a thing of beauty. All 13 teams racing for the whole shot as Mubadala Brazil and Los Gallos out in front.
The reigning champions bounced back from a poor race 1 and clawed back valuable places.
Look at this here, Emirates GBR 9th to 2nd.
But it was the home team that managed to keep just ahead of the chasing pack.
The Black Foils take the win in race 2.
That's hard,
And as they approach mark number 1 here in race number 3, Phil Robertson coming awfully close, and the Black Foils collide with DS Team France.
Racing was abandoned. 2 athletes are being treated for injuries, but are in a stable condition. All other crew members have been accounted for on board.
As tragic as that was, what I didn't need is for Stevie Morrison to be shouting over the host commentator Unbelievable, the commentary. I mean, Russell, you got to do something about C.V. Morrison. I'm sorry to say it, because it's so irritating. You have to turn the audio down because he just talks nonstop over everybody else, shouting and screaming, and it makes it most unpleasant to enjoy what sometimes is just terrific, often is terrific racing. Okay, so you've seen the crash. We'll go back and talk about it. That's the Kiwi boat being lifted out afterwards. You can see, Julie, the whole starboard pontoon is gone after the thing was crashed and then pulled out. And we'll go into it some more in a moment, but here is the day 2 summary video.
The ITM New Zealand Sail Grand Prix was no ordinary weekend of F50 racing.
Oh, they got too high! They got too high! Oh, the foil comes up.
Oh.
The Bonds Flying Roos won on Kiwi waters for a second time in some of the most testing conditions the league has ever seen.
It is deja vu all over again for the Bonds Flying Roos.
The story began after 2 incredible fleet races. The Bonds Flying Roos, Emirates Great Britain, the Blackfoils and DS Team France were on form going into race 3.
And as they approach mark number 1 here in race number 3, Phil Robertson coming awfully close, and the Blackfoils collide with DS Team France.
Racing was abandoned. 2 athletes are being treated for injuries but are in a stable condition. All other crew members have been accounted for on board. With a building breeze set for Super Sunday, SailGP chose split fleet racing to minimise congestion on a tight stadium-style racecourse. In their sides of the draw, Bonds Flying Roos and Emirates GBR sealed their place in the final early.
Slingsby's looking fast out on the water today.
And the Emirates winning moment goes the way of the Brits here on Super Sunday.
The last spot in the event final was between Los Gaios and Artemis.
Big gain here for Los Gaios.
Artemis crossing the line just behind Los Gaios. Frustration on board. So it will be the Bonds Flying Roos, Emirates GBR, and Los Gaios, Spain that'll face off one last race for the title.
What a start here by the Spanish.
And look at the speeds, over 90 kilometers an hour.
Bonds Flying Roos and Los Gaios super close to that top mark.
But it's Bonds Flying Roos have cut the corner. They lead here at gate 3, Todd. It's going to be an absolute sprint.
And the champions here in Auckland, once again, it's the Bonds Flying Roos 2 years in a row. They pick up 10. Emirates GBR finishing second with 9. And Los Gaios finishing in third with 8.
Okay, so there are the results as we wait for the last little graphic. I'll give them their SailGP logo to come up on the screen. And Julia, your team had a great start, but not such a great finish. I mean, they're still in the top 3.
Yeah.
And they didn't finish at Perth, so that's why they're not really in the standings at this point. But they are impressive, your Spanish team.
Yeah, but I mean, when they didn't finish in Perth, they lost those 2 points, and if they carried them in, they'd be in great shape.
Well, that's right. But when it's windy, Jason Waterhouse is the Roos key to success. He is the best flight controller in SailGP, so asserts another Aussie, Dolly DeVola. And he may well be right, because Tom Slingsby has been really good in breeze in this whole 6 seasons, this whole way around, and he looks good again. Bravo Zulu to him and to his team. Here is the news report that came, I can't remember the Saturday night or Sunday night out of SailGP, but the news, this was leading the news down there. I'm talking with Richard Gladwell on and off, who's written some great stuff, by the way. Magnus the Magnificent wrote a piece that basically it panned and worse SailGP for the crash, for the accident. But here, to give you a flavor of what the Kiwi television audience is seeing down there on their news, this is the 3 networks coverage from one of the evening newscasts this weekend.
The SailGP season got off to a rocky start on Saturday after the crash involving the Blackfoils and French teams. It caused serious injury to Blackfoils grinder Louis Sinclair. So what went so terribly wrong? To get an explanation, Mitch Redmond spoke with former America's Cup sailor Freddie Carr.
Adrenaline was high for the Black Foils on Saturday, but a win in race 2 was quickly overshadowed by a freak accident in race 3, taking New Zealand and France out of action. The Black Foils were found to be at fault for the incident, but America's Cup veteran Freddie Carr says the Kiwis shouldn't feel guilty.
And it's really hard, I think, to attribute blame in situations like this, and I do think it definitely shifts into the accident side of things. And it was windy and it was blowing off the big grandstand and there were big puffs hitting. Now, when that wind hits, you have to adjust a lot of things to keep these boats going as fast as possible. And trust me, these crews want to make the boats go as fast as possible at all times. They've not got a bone in their body where they'll back off to be safe. And that's what we saw with New Zealand. They were full foot to the floor. They'd had a fantastic first 2 races. Looked like they were going to have a really good third race.
The Black Foils got too high above the water, losing steering in the process.
They just got a little bit high out of the water that meant with a Pete at the back of the boat, he lost the rudders. They skimmed sideways like a pebble, got close to the Italians, and then when the foils re-gripped again, they span up into the wind, and we saw what happened by spinning into the wind. They were effectively an F50 roadblock for the French.
Carr says the French skipper's split-second reflexes saved lives.
From what I could see, I thought that the Kiwis kind of would have been in the French's blind spot in a funny way, and then all of a sudden the Black Foils are in front of the French side on, and Contan just did enough in the last seconds to probably only turn maybe 10 degrees away from the Kiwi boat. And in doing so, he moved his bow away from the people significantly, and it avoided a major disaster. So I take my hat off to him and how he responded. And then you've also got to take your hat off to the first responders, the safety crew from SailGP. I've heard a lot of stuff off the record about just how bad that incident is, and we know that Louis had a double leg break. I mean, that's horrific. And how brave he was. He's a tough rooster, Louis.
The priority is definitely with Louis. He's been through surgery now and has had a really good kind of outcome there. So they've pinned his right leg and he can wait there again now, which is great. And so I just want to say a massive thank you to everyone that's been involved in that process, you know, all the caregivers and, you know, staff at Auckland Hospital that helped them out along the way. It's been absolutely awesome and means the world.
A long road to recovery for Sinclair, and the same can be said for the French strategist whose body broke the steering wheel due to the impact of the incident. And despite the nature of their injuries, it was somewhat of a lucky escape for both sailors.
Yeah, lucky escape is an understatement because Louis was trapped in his grinder's cockpit below water. And, you know, they all have rebreathers. They all have little cans of air. Yeah. And apparently he not only went through one can of air, but they took him 3 others. And this is, you know, this all stemming from learnings here in San Francisco with the Artemis tragedy back in 2013. Was it 12 or 13, whatever year it was, leading up to the 13 Cup. And they also have rescued swimmers who have their own air and who are there right there with the teams on the chase boats and are able to go down. I've heard stories which you heard Freddie Carr said, well, off the record, and I'm not going to repeat some of the things I've heard yet because there is an investigation going on, and we'll see if Russell comes with more than the press conference he did in front of the Adrenaline Lounge on Sunday, which was not very forthcoming. But this has raised a lot of questions because as bad as the Sinclair's situation was with his, you know, multiple compound fractures of both legs, you know, a little bit either way, that bow, you saw where the bow ended up.
Yeah.
And it could have hit somebody in the back, could have hit somebody in the back of the head, could have been pretty awful. And I thought Freddie's description of the whole incident was about as good as anything I've seen. Okay, he's being very careful not to be too critical of anyone in particular or of the situation. But we're going to get some more analysis for you here in a moment. But first, here is the best actual video I have seen of the incident, courtesy of New Zealand Boating. From, I believe they took this either from a boat far away or from the shore, and they do it at full speed and quarter speed and half speed. Have a look at this video and how bad and how potentially much worse this incident could have been. Okay, that's full speed. Now we're going to see the last bit of that at half speed. No audio. They have to turn up to avoid what they think are the collision with the Italians. And whether they actually got too high or they had an electrical or a mechanical problem with the boat, they are a bit high, but no higher really than anybody else. But they did Pete just turn too abruptly because he thought he was going to crash into? Bow goes in, of course, which once they were augered in, that really turned the rest of the boat. And the French had nowhere to go, obviously. And I think, as Freddie Carr said, Quentin Delapierre came up. And remember, they're in, as Freddie also observed, the Kiwis are in his blind spot. He can't really see very well under the main. There's a window in the big wing. But man, oh man.
Oh, it's really scary.
Okay, so that's this boating New Zealand video. And thanks to them for providing that. It's a bit scary. And now, Julia, what we've got is analysis. First of all, this is Matthew Sheehan and his very fine YouTube channel called Planet Sail. And Matthew Sheehan did a full-on 14, 15-minute, I can't remember, reaction video to this incident. And then he posted a little vertical quickie, a shorty. And that's what I'm going to play now, because he goes back now and looks at all the other incidents which have befallen SailGP over the last 3 years.
Yeah.
And there is a bit of carnage now. This is starting to add up, and it's a bit of a worry, shall we say.
Yes.
The crash sent shockwaves through the fleet. And what made it even worse was that everyone knew this was not an isolated case. The Kiwi dismasting. The Brazilian beam failure. The Australian dismasting. And the American-British collision.
Down 5, down 10.
Each one had seen crews come perilously close to disaster. But this one was uncomfortably close to tragedy. So it's easy to see why some are saying that the stakes are getting too high. While the event did deliver its promise of close competition and a winner, Auckland 2026 will be remembered for the wrong reasons.
Matthew Sheehan and his fine YouTube channel, Planet Sail. You can Google that and go to that and see other. He does stuff regularly, and he's had a bit of a health challenge. We wish him well. He seems to be coming good. But let's get back to the topic at hand here, Julia, because it's scary.
It is.
People compare it to Formula One, and of course, I was involved in Formula One back in the last part of the, from '97 until the early part of the noughts. And Dr. Sid Watson was still around. He's since passed away, but that guy took Formula. They used to die not every weekend, but there were a lot of deaths in Formula One. The cars weren't very safe. There wasn't the halo. There wasn't, which is this thing around the head. There wasn't the cars weren't that intact. There wasn't a monocoque. There wasn't a shell around the driver, so the clothing wasn't as good. And that's much improved. And there have been some what looked like decapitations, which have been in Formula One, which have not happened because of the construct and the safety measures led by Sid Watson and others. Watson, I can't remember his name, British doctor. That's in NASCAR. They talk about NASCAR. Well, in NASCAR, as you all know, that our car buffs more so than I, the Clark Chapins and the Joe Holtzmans and the others who know these sports, Baton Rouge, they're in a cage in those cars, and if they flip and roll over or go up into the, they're fairly, not perfectly well, but fairly well protected. Here, okay, they've got a helmet on, they've got some Kevlar on, and but man, oh man. And if there is truly a T-bone, that wasn't quite a T-bone, it was almost, but if there's a collision at 100, closing speed approaching 100 knots. God knows, Sid Watkins, thank you, Ted Ryman.
Yeah.
God knows what will happen. And there is a lot of concern. You've heard precious little about the French, the lady who is the strategist. She was behind the skipper. She went into the wheel. She went through the wheel, damaged her sternum. I still can't find out how bad, what her condition is.
But they had complimented the French for avoiding.
Well, for sure. He turned up. Quentin Delapierre turned up, but that didn't save the gal behind him when their boat stopped. You know what it's like when a vehicle stops and you're still going forward at whatever the speed of the vehicle is. So, as Jody Shields is saying, both the Kiwis and the French had sailors to leeward for the reach start to keep a lookout for other boats. The fact that Pete had to turn so hard to avoid the Italians is surprising. Would love to get the onboard audio of those boats. Dolly DeVola, while crews have to change sides, it's difficult to provide protection. Exactly right. And maybe they shouldn't be changing sides. Maybe that's something to learn from all this. You see in the America's Cup boats, they're not doing any side changing anymore, and those are monohulls.
Right.
Alex Hayworth, she was in the leeward hull. She wasn't behind the skipper. She was down in the leeward hull watching to leeward. She probably made the call, up, up, up. I don't know what the answer is, but they've got to do a serious study, and they need to go public with it. Russell needs to not just bury this and say, well, racing is rubbing or rubbing is racing. That's not correct. Clayton Embley also observing, and this is also true, that in F1, a lot of the safety credit goes to Jackie Stewart. I got to know Jackie a bit. He was a lot of fun. He was almost always on track. When we are trying, Peter Rechenberg says, when we are trying to emulate F1, when SailGP is trying to emulate F1, these things are going to happen. It comes with the game. So, as Clayton Embley is up above that, saying collisions are going to happen. Safety ideas, flotation suits for the competitors, inflation bags installed inside the boats to keep the boats afloat after collision. Well, I think they've got compartments that are sealed. Protective cages for the sailors to duck into if a crash is imminent. Well, I'm not sure they're going to have time to do that, Clay. They either got to be protected or not. It's probably worth talking to the auto racing community now. Baton Rouge up above further saying, there's the T-foils, which they have switched to. Have been a lot of problems, apparently, since they switched from the J-foils to the more powerful T-foils. And the comments are rolling in here. Clark Chapin, I don't think that even Pete could turn the boat that quickly through any sort of normal rudder action. Yeah, I was wondering that too, Clark. And there was some criticism of Leo Takahashi, whether he had the boat flying too high or not. I'm not sure that's relevant at this stage. But you need to go back and have a look at all this. But bottom line, here's a good bottom line, Julia. They are paid to show their skills, not risk their lives. And I think that is a great comment from Clayton Embley.
And better to remember.
Anybody else have a comment here? Jody Shields, who's, of course, done commentary, a lot of commentary for Sail, and good commentary for SailGP. I think it's time to get rid of the reach start. Too many boats at high speed with no escape routes. A windward start, I think he means, would still be exciting to watch and make it more fair in a racing scenario scene. Yeah, okay. A lot to think about, a lot to digest. I think Russell owes it to the broader sailing community to come up with a report, a public report on what has taken place, as we did here in 2013 after the Artemis tragedy, when those of us involved with the organizing committee, and have a good hard look at improving the safety.
Which you did.
For everybody. To their credit, and a lot of people didn't think Russell would act this quickly, but he split the fleet on Sunday into 2 5-boat, one had 6 and one had 5 boats in it, so there was a lot less congestion on what already was a constricted short course, because, of course, they're trying to keep the course up close to the spectators. They're trying to have that turning mark, first mark right in front of the spectators, like they did here in San Francisco, right off St. Francis Yacht Club and off the Adrenaline Lounge. Jon Emmett says, in terms of space, the key is to limit to large enough race course for the number of boats, which needs to be limited to 10, ideally split. John thinks at 12. John's going to comment on this, too, in his Coaching Corner report.
Yeah. And they look much too close, that whole race.
These boats are built for reach starts. These boats are built for reach starts, in caps. Larry Kennedy is saying, most foiling boats works well. Jody Shields, another comment. The onboard camera from the front of the Kiwi boat clearly shows Pete putting a massive turn. Yeah, I talked with Jody about this the other night. A massive turn rate on the wheel. He may have overreacted, and that's what caused this situation, ultimately. Not seeing the boat to leeward and then the hard turn. Dolly DeVola up above Jody says, all foiling has danger. How Big Fleet Moth and IQ hasn't had a major injury or death is just lucky. Yeah, we've had some people that lost their feet. People have lost some fingers and some, you worry about because of the sharpness of the foils, in the water and people falling over. In any event, Clay agrees with Jon Emmett. Great point. And split fleets would give more racing for spectators. Arguably not, because they're going to have fewer. They're going to have no more races in the hour and a half of TV time, and the split fleets mean half the fleet's not racing. It's not that they're going to double the number of races unless they do racing outside the hour and a half TV window. That's a possibility. Anyway, Russell's a smart boy. I'm sure he knows he's got a problem. I'm sure he knows he will deal with it. And Larry is too. And believe me, I can tell you from experience here, when we had the problem in 2013 here in the Cup, it wasn't just Russell and Stephen Barclay and the big fella Ian Murray, myself, and one or two other, Hamish Ross, even myself. It was Larry got involved. And Larry is the one who called Russell up after that first press conference, which I was there in the back watching. I had nothing to do with it. But it didn't go well. Mm-hmm. And Larry called Russell up and said, okay, go do another press conference, calm, be a much better explanation, say we are going to continue racing here, but with greater safety and big safety improvements, and put Eamon on the dais. So he made me go. He made me. I mean, I was happy to do it, but Larry told Russell to get me up there, and that resulted in the press conference. You were there in the front row with your husband, that Ian Murray and I did. And that's, that's part of what several of you have said to me this morning as I was preparing the show, that some of the PR coming out of this needed to be much better as well. Okay. Yeah, lost body parts, Ed Worley is saying. Okay, back to happier things. There were some good developments. As we told you on Friday, it was confirmed, and Terry T. Hutch came on the show, Terry Hutchinson, confirming this sale from the league for apparently $60 million US of the Rockwool Denmark team to American Magic. There's been some snarky comments online, Julia. Imagine that. In social media, some snarky comments about the American Magic. And it's not New York Yacht Club. New York Yacht Club, of course, is still close to and very friendly with American Magic. It was their representative team in Barcelona. But this is Doug DeVos and American Magic, not Claire Harrington and the New York Yacht Club's team, at least not at this point. And, people say, well, why an American team owns the Danish? Well, this is sport. This is now international, commercial, corporate sport. And you're going to have some of this. You've got teams owned by non-nationals. You're going to have more of that. You're going to have teams steered by non-nationals, meaning driven. So, I wouldn't get too excited about that.
And mixed nationalities on the crew.
And mixed, exactly. And I just bravo Zulu to these guys for getting the team, getting in the action. I think you're going to see some, as we talked with Terry on Friday, you're going to see some massaging of the crew and of the names on the crew. And I think Claire agrees with me, Commodore Harrington, saying the PR conference after the 2024 Sydney Hobart race is a model to be emulated. 100%. We made that comment at the time on this show because the Vice Commodore, if you remember, Julia, the Vice Commodore, after they lost a couple sailors in the 2024 Sydney Hobart, overboard and was it overboard? One gets smacked in the head. I can't remember now, but it was tragic and death. And the Commodore's in the race, so he can't do the PR, but the Vice Commodore swung into action and gave an update and then another update right away, just like that, and it was superb. Totally agree. Good point, Commodore Harrington. Thank you for that. So these guys, they had a fairly good weekend. Let's look at the standings. Their first time out, Rockwell Racing, was 8th out of, 13 teams, but 2 weren't racing. But nonetheless, Rockwell is going to make some adjustments. We'll see how T. Hutch and the gang do. The American team had a better go. This is the overall now. You got Tom on top up there at the Bonds Flying Rouge. You've got Emirates GBR, last year's defending champs, now in second. And you got the French, even with their not being able to finish. Overall now for the season 2026, they're in third. And your team, Julia, after Artemis, which is Nathan Outeridge's Swedish team, they're hanging in there nicely in fourth. And look at that, the American team who finished the season last year on -8 points or something?
Yes.
They're in fifth place. They've had a couple of good regattas.
Yep.
Okay, and your team, Los Gallos, are hanging in there. And we'll see if T. Hutch gets the Rockwell Racing team moving up the ladder as we go forward. Jody Shields saying the country flag in SailGP is now just he means marketing gimmick, I suppose. There is no such thing as a nationality rule within SailGP, except, Jody, as you know, Russell does not want there to be more than one team per country. The Jacksonville Jaguars are owned by a British lad. Yeah, we're going to have people owning different professional sports teams from different countries in this global political economy that we're in, and increasingly so. Now, speaking of the American team, having had a good season, their social media is no less cringy. They put this out, and I get it. I'll run it again. It's just, I meant to back it up. Let's back it up, and I'll run it again here. I get it, Julia.
Why?
Well, they got a sponsor. And there's been a lot of criticism of them for running these Tommy Hilfiger walkabouts and in their clothing, in their team clothing. And it just comes off somehow as we're too cool for school. Our Shiza doesn't stink. I don't know what it is, but man, oh man, they get a lot of criticism, especially after their performance last year. They got a lot of criticism. The modern day Gucci boys, Clay Embley is saying. Yeah. In any event, I understand what they're doing and why. And Jon Emmett says, I enjoyed talking to Taylor in IRL, in real life, so much more than watching the interviews. Fair enough. But they got a sponsor, and they're trying to keep their sponsors in focus, get some attention. But this walking into the base in their team clothing with a 20 or 30, 20-second TikTok or a thing on Instagram, it's rubbing a lot of people the wrong way. They need to rethink their social media strategy, in my opinion. Next event up is just in 2 weeks' time, February 28th, March 1st, in Sydney. The iconic location, iconic racing. They're going to ship the boats across the Tasman. We'll see if they get all 13 teams on the water. We'll see if they do split fleet racing again. We'll see how much wind they're going to have. Without going too deep and into the weeds here, Jody and I and others have talked about the size of the wings versus the size of the T-foils, and it looks to some people who are technical experts like on Saturday, when they're using the small wing and the big, they've got these big new T-foils, that the small wing doesn't provide the same amount that the teams are used to, the same amount of lift and the counterbalancing of the wing versus the lift that the Lunar T-foil is providing. Gladwell made this point to me last night. He said, had the Kiwis had their windward foil down, which you wouldn't do for the drag, but if they had the windward foil down, the boat probably would have tracked better. And the problem is they're on that one leeward foil with the small wing, and the boat starts heeling to windward in a lull, and everybody said, including Freddie Carr, it was puffy and lully out there. Is that a word, lully? Lully by?
Yeah.
It was puffy.
Right.
And then there were lulls. So I don't know. Jon Emmett is going forward to Sydney. GBR versus Aus, round 3.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. One other note, just that, again, as I said last week, Sydney, Rio, and Bermuda all come before this event that the America's Cup is putting on in Colliery. And Magnus wrote a long piece extolling the virtues of Colliery on the America's Cup website, Magnus the Magnificent, Magnus Wheatley. And, they're trying to gin up all this publicity for the America's Cup, and SailGP just, all the ink they got from the crash, good, bad, or otherwise, all ink is ink. To spell my name right.
Right.
It's not quite that way, but man, oh man, they got a lot of events and a lot of action and a lot of stuff.
Right.
Baton Rouge, I hate to say it, but the problem with the team clothing is not the team. The clothing's not very attractive, he's saying. Well, okay, everybody's got an opinion, and the opinions are thoughtful. No name calling, no personal attacks.
No
coarse language, except from you, Julia.
Oh. Not out loud. 3
SailGP events before Colliery. Then, right after Colliery, it comes the New York City event for SailGP. So they got a lot on, and it's starving. It's taking the air, I think, out of the America's Cup in more ways than one. Okay, anybody have anything else to say about SailGP and our little review of the weekend? Congratulations, you received 100 messages. Well, that's nice. GBR have won the last 2 Australian SailGPs. The splashes continue. Mark Michelson. Hello, Mark. Mm-hmm. We could help them with that clothing problem. He and his wife run that great company, Protect 2.0. There's stuff that they outfit teams, particularly here on the West Coast, but all over the world. Mm-hmm. They do a great job. And he has outfitted us here with Sailing Illustrated and with GovCup and a few other things. And, of course, Mark is our weather guru.
He is.
Up in Idaho, of all places. The best line of the show, puffy and lully. It sounds like Buffy and Biff. It sounds like the preppy lines. Like the wind. That's how you describe wind if you're a preppy. Puffy and lully. Is that what you're saying, Claire? Yeah, Larry Kennedy, bottom line, we're just hoping the boys and girls, they all recover fast. And I've seen a picture of Mr. Sinclair back up on his feet already. So, tough deal. Well, we've got to be careful, though. We can't get too Formula One-esque or too NASCAR-esque. Right, Julia?
I agree.
Let's talk about the American Cup boat race, the America's Cup and our AC38 Cup date. This thing is causing a lot of discussion still. They seem internally one hears. There is a lot of angst. They're having already fights over how to implement the 700-page America's Cup Partnership Agreement.
Gosh.
And it's not public. They're not letting anybody see it. How you can run a sport like this, this is no longer Lully Land. This is Chris Fury. This is La La Land. This is the slide they put out some weeks ago when they finally announced this agreement. In a landmark moment for the sport of sailing, yeah, right, the America's Cup, sport's oldest international trophy, having been contested since 1851, has entered a new era of mutual governance.
So far,
yeah, exactly. Exactly right, Julia. So along comes John Sweeney. Now, I've known John since he was actually with Don Riley, and I didn't know him then, but he was with Don Riley's, I think, America True team in 2000 in Auckland. But as I said, I didn't know him, but I did know him when he was with Oracle BMW Racing in the 2003 Cup, I think was the first time we got to know each other. And John's in that big picture. Look at what an America's Cup team used to look like.
Yes. Wow.
When you had two boats with 17 sailors, plus some spare sailors, plus a shore team, plus an admin team, plus a design team.
75 people? Is it?
More than.
Yeah.
And John's in there somewhere, and I'm in there somewhere. And that was the 2003 BMW Oracle Racing team, I do believe. Mm-hmm. John continued with the team. I have that sweatshirt. That's our 76. That was BMW Oracle Racing in the leading up to the 2007 Cup. And John, who feels particularly affronted by the America's Cup partnership, as do a lot of us, has threatened to sue them, as we've been telling you now for several weeks. And he, in fact, posted just a few hours ago on Facebook, he says, America's Cup fans, here's something important about how the oldest trophy in international sports is supposed to work. The deed of gift is very clear. Only organized yacht clubs can sign agreements, act as challenge of record, and make mutual consent deals that govern the Cup. In 2007, when I was, he means the Sausalito Yacht Club, but he was representing and organizing the Sausalito Yacht Club's challenge of record effort that didn't come to fruition, but it almost did or could have. When I was challenge of record, the protocol was signed by two real yacht clubs, the Royal New Zealand Yacht Squadron and the Sausalito Yacht Club. And Julia, as you know, the Sausalito Yacht Club is just across the bridge from us over in the beautiful town of Sausalito. Very European town here in the Bay Area. Club to club, simple, deed compliant, no companies involved. And he says, see here the protocol, the draft protocol following what was to be the protocol if the Kiwis won the 2007 event, which of course they did not. Today, and I'll show you that protocol in a moment. Today, the 700-page America's Cup Management Agreement and the AC 75 class rules are signed by two companies, Emirates Team New Zealand and Athena Racing, meaning Sir Ben, now GB1, meaning Sir Ben Ainsley's teams. He goes on to say on Facebook, they are attempting to rewrite how the deed of gift works, turning the Cup into a commercial league that can be bought and sold, or at least the teams, the franchise, as franchises, can be bought and sold. SailGP, as the market cornered, no one can do it better. And he's echoing what we've been saying on here, don't try to make the America's Cup into SailGP. And GP. Let me repeat that, Julia, using some sound effects.
Don't make the America's Cup into SailGP.
We have sound effects on this show. We never use them because they're so corny. This is exactly why a lawsuit will be filed, he says, John Sweeney says, in early March to protect the Cup's heritage, its national club-based tradition, and the vision George Schuyler set in 1887, which is when the third deed, the current deed, was promulgated. Oh, how's that for a Stanford word, Julia?
That's very good.
Only the New York courts can amend the deed, so that's what I'm going to ask, and forever install a deed-compliant AC-90 monohull class. I'm not sure why he's doing that. You don't need to amend the deed. You just need to enforce the deed, John. I've been telling him that. Stay tuned, John Sweeney, and he's copying there on Facebook Julian Everett, who's the superb British designer who's been helping him, copied me and a few others. Spooky, scary sound effects, Jim Sears says. Well,
we have that.
But we also have this.
We have sound effects, but we don't ever use them. Thank God. Okay, so that's John Sweeney's latest Facebook post. There is the protocol governing what would have been the 33rd America's Cup protocol had the Royal New Zealand Yacht Squadron won. They had, and I didn't know this, they had done a deal with the Sausalito Yacht Club that was being fronted by John Sweeney. And they had a deal, and it was signed, apparently, not signed, but the Sausalito Yacht Club would not have signed it unless and until they meaning the Kiwis, had won the 2007 Cup. And remember, the Kiwis were in the finals against Alinghi in Valencia 07, so they would have had the Sausalito Yacht Club Commodore there. If they got down to the last race and they won, Sausalito Commodore would have signed the protocol, and the Kiwis would have had their challenger of record. David James, who lives over in Sausalito, says Sausalito is sister cities with Cascais, both big sailing towns. That's true. Nice point. About that same time, after the 07, you all know what actually happened. The Alinghi did win, and there is a meeting being chaired by TFE there at the end in the Holiday Inn in Valencia, as we're trying to get everybody to agree to something. And we're having a big fight with Alinghi because they're trying to do a 90-foot boat. They've come up with their fake yacht club, CNEV, Club Náutico Español de Vela. Alinghi are meeting with the teams, trying to convince them to come on board with this thing. Russell, you see Russell in that photo?
Mm-mm.
There's Russell, and he's just joined our team.
Oh, yeah.
Larry's we've just hired him after the 07 Cup. Remember, Chris Dixon had been the head of our team. There's Jochen Schumann. There's Mirko Groschner. There's Alessandra Ponderese representing Luna Rossa. There's, some famously cool and good America's Cup people in that meeting. And we're all trying to find some way out of the weeds and back to a normal America's Cup for 2010. But they came up with this CNEV. Alinghi wouldn't cut, and it was a fake yacht club, and they were going to control the whole thing themselves. It was not only a hip pocket challenge of record, it was their own challenge of record. And of course, we sued them. We filed a challenge. They rejected our challenge, and then we sued them in court, and of course, we won. And that's what was going on at the same time. But unbeknownst to me at the time, Sausalito Yacht Club and John Sweeney had a deal with the Kiwis had they won the 07 Cup. So John says he's filing a court case against the Royal New Zealand Yacht Squadron over this America's Cup partnership, and he's doing it in early March. He's preparing it as we speak. He's got lawyers and he's got AI legal working on it. And Julian Everett's helping him, and a number of others are. I think he's given up on the waterline argument. I hope so. I don't think that was going to go anywhere. I hope he gives up on the idea of amending the deed at all, because the deed does not need to be amended. It works if you have a proper challenger of record, if you have a proper negotiation, and you read the deed, follow the deed, which I totally agree with John. The Kiwis are not doing and have not done at all, because the Royal New Zealand Yacht Squadron, which is a proper yacht club, has delegated their trustee duties to companies, to corporations. And John is making that point, I think, truly, fairly, and well. This is a cartoon that appeared on his Facebook page. I don't know who did it. 2007, by the deed of gift. There's a couple of yacht club-looking people there on the left, Julia. Huh? Protect the Cup. And then over on the right is what he says is going on today with for-profit teams. Let's make a deal. Let's sell the venue to a city other than the city in which our club, our defending club, is located. So that's the latest. Best of luck, Marzio Pirelli, as CEO of ACP. Yeah, I'm not sure that's come to fruition yet, but we hear that's what's going to happen. On day one, dealing with a lawsuit that has more garbage than the streets of New York. That's what Alex Hayworth is saying. Alex is pretty well connected. He's a Brit, close to the British team and the Royal Yacht Squadron. And Clark Chapin observing that neither of the yacht club types on the left have Breton red, let alone a red blazer. That's a little different. Dirty Deeds, done dirt cheap. AC/DC, the band that Rick Bannero is quoting. Well, there is from the Royal New Zealand Yacht Squadron's Facebook cover page, the great club, a great group of people in a fabulous city. I sure wish the Cup were being hosted there by Royal New Zealand with them in charge, not their representative team turning it into a commercial enterprise via ACP. This is a fuster cluck of magnificent proportions. It will not survive, big picture, long term. It will not happen. So let's see what happens. That's the latest as far as I know it. Jon Emmett is next with his coaching corner. Let's see what Jon has to say. Our super Fozy from Great Britain, international man of mystery, who is, I believe, still in Auckland. And we'll see what he has to say in his report. And Julia, maybe Jon's turned into a Republican.
Uh-oh. Hi, Tom, Julia, and all the Fozy. I'm sure you can guess what I'm going to talk about. The America's Cup and SailGP are, in my opinion, and many others, extreme sports. And it's a really interesting topic because the first thing I have to say is the athletes who do these events are absolutely amazing. If you look at SailGP or America's Cup, there's so many Olympic medals in the boat. It's just quite amazing. Doesn't matter whether you're watching from the comfort of your sofa or I was lucky enough to be watching from the adrenaline lounge. It doesn't do justice to how hard these boats are to sail well. And indeed, the reaction we had in Auckland from the drivers to incidences was so quick. If you look at the slow replay, it was literally seconds above those people who are watching from the comfort of their sofa. So I have to, first of all, absolutely take my hats off, but not only to the athletes, to the shore team and the safety things they have in place. But I would be remiss if I didn't have a little think about this. It's very hard for me to take my coach's hat off. And I guess I have two suggestions. One, a prevention, one more in the way of cure, because you can't make anything completely safe. Even crossing the road can be dangerous, especially with the amount of EVs making very little noise. Somebody like myself, I have to pay more attention than I did before with noisy vehicles. But I digress. The first thing, I think the foils often lose grip when the SailGP boats are flying very high, and I wonder whether there could be a class rule in so-called extreme conditions, and define that as you will, that there's a maximum ride height, there's a maximum height that they're allowed to fly at, because of course everybody wants to go as fast as you can, but maybe flying lower is safer. And that can be, I guess, enforced. That was the first point. The second point is really about protecting athletes. Now, of course, they're a little bit vulnerable when they cross over. I've seen a number of knee injuries, and you can see those interviews. But I think when the sailors are in the cockpit and if boats come together, that's probably when they're most vulnerable. So to take a leaf out of Formula One book, I wonder if there could be some sort of side impact protection, a halo, if you will, so when boats come together, that the sailors are completely protected from the worst possible outcome. Now, of course, that will add weight to boat and indeed windage, which will affect performance. But as I said, it's a route that the Formula One went down. And if you look at how dangerous Formula was 30 years ago, there's been a lot of learning about how to protect the drivers. And I guess it's the same for SailGP. It's hard to imagine we're only in our 6th season at the moment. But yeah, I think a lot of people, far cleverer than me, will be looking at things now, looking about how to make it safer. And with that in mind, sail safe, sail fast, and have lots of fun. One final point, I nearly forgot. Can you guess where Nadia and I am at the moment? I'll be checking the answers either live or on replay. Unless somebody gets it absolutely spot on, I'll let you know next week.
Do you have any idea where he is? I don't.
I thought he told us.
He's in New Zealand. And maybe somebody in the chat will know. We'll see what they have to say. But that's Jon's Coaching Corner report. And Jon, he thought I was going to play that before that we covered the Cup. And no, I think that was a good wrap up from Jon after all the discussion and the comments back and forth. So I'm glad I played it where I did in the show. And we appreciate, as always, Jon Emmett's Coaching Corner. Get to the front of the fleet. Maximum flying height from Jon Emmett is a great idea, Pedro Foiling Sailor is saying. Do the boats get faster or slower as they get higher? I thought they got slower as they got higher. Alan Long says, is he in Melbourne? I don't know about that. I don't know where he is. I thought he was in NZ, but maybe not. Okay, Coaching Corner. We always like to say at the end of Jon's reports that we're pushing hard for Brisbane 2032. We're pushing hard for getting our sport, the sailing, back into the Paralympics. And I know the Aussies are leading the way. World Sailing is leading the way. And we need all of you, if you have any influence at all in your countries and beyond, to push for this to get us back in the Paralympics for 2032, whether it's a demonstration event or normal event. While we're on the topic of Olympics, which Jon usually as an Olympic coach covers for us, or at least he often talks about the Olympics, I thought we should catch up on some of the goings-on, Julia.
Yes.
In Milano Cortina, this is day 11 of the Winter Olympics, the 25th edition thereof. There is the medal count. Norway taking a commanding lead, 13 golds, 30 total. Italy doing well, the U.S. okay. The Netherlands doing well, maybe punching above their normal Winter Olympic weight. Doing very well. Austria, you would expect to be doing well as a alpine country. Bravo Zulu to all of them. But Julia, have you been following the controversies in the Olympics? How about this one? On Saturday.
Yes.
And my wife's late great mother was a curler, so I know I've never curled in my life. The only thing I've ever done is slept in a curling rink. When I'd go to hockey school in Toronto, we'd go up there, and there was a curling rink right next door to where the hockey rinks were that we were doing the hockey school hockey in. And they filled that curling ring up with bunks, and all the kids slept in there. It was a lot of fun. At hockey, that's the closest I've come ever to curling. So all I know is what I learned from my late stepmother, not stepmother. Yeah, my wife's mother is my stepmother, right?
Mother-in-law.
Thank you, not stepmother, mother-in-law. Thank you. I knew that didn't feel right. On Saturday, the Canadian curler Mark with a C, Kennedy, was accused of cheating with an extra boop. You see his finger? And they're calling it double touching, but it's not. It's a boop. It's a little. It's you see the green line in curling. Once the rock, the stone, that piece of granite with a handle on top of it, once it gets to the hog line, which is that green line, you can't be touching the stone. You have to release it before it gets to the hog line. Number one. Number two. You can only touch that stone, that rock, with the handle. You have to propel it with a handle. You can give it a little spin to help it curl. That's why they have those handles. You see them put a little English on it, like you would a ping pong ball, a little spin to make it curl. And then, of course, the sweepers can help steer it and accelerate it or decelerate it a bit by how much they sweep. And the rule, however, is that you may never, I researched the rules, being an old rules advisor, you can never, ever touch the granite of the stone.
Well, that makes sense.
You can only touch the handle. So here's this guy giving it a little boop, not only after he's passed the green line, but he's touching it on the granite. And there's other views of this, and he did clearly touch it. Well, after that, he got accused of cheating, of doing this by the Swedes and then later by the Swiss. And he then went into this big demonstrative, who, me? Moi?
Yeah.
Cheating? Not me. And a big expletive deleted, F-bomb. And they got the otherwise very calm and cool curling world.
Yes.
And they got their you-know-whats in an uproar. So much so that the memes have been coming out like crazy. This one came, it's been all over the internet. Me? Cheating? Then Banero sent me this. This one has been Bill Cook sent this to me as well. So thank you, Rick and Bill, for that. So it's not okay if he booped it when he did, Steve Brewer. You can't touch the granite, period. You can touch the handle on top. And you can give it a little twist, which they all do, which is that's the whole deal, or it's a good part of the deal, but you can't boop it. And he was booping his. He was goosing. Clark Chapin says goose would be better than boop, as in, Canadian goose.
Yeah.
That's clever, Clark. Curling's short and curly's Rick Banner. So then the Americans, they also, so this curling association, the World Curling Federation, had to start watching more carefully.
Yeah.
And they warned this guy for using foul language. Then they kicked a British guy out for booping his stone.
Yeah.
And they penalized him, and it turns out one of the Canadian ladies is doing the same thing. So it's good fun. Maura Stevens, who is a Canadian, a longtime Fozy, nice to see you on, Maura. She says, as a Canadian, I find Mark Kennedy's behavior deplorable. He needs to apologize to Team Sweden for calling them liars. And then there's this whole people saying, well, he didn't cheat. He just broke the rules. Like breaking the rules is not cheating. If you're booping the thing, you're doing it for a reason.
Right.
Either to give it a little more push or to help stop. Maybe you've given it too much or who knows why, but if it's against the rules, it's against the rules.
Yes. And that comes from a famous rules advisor.
Well, an infamous rules advisor. So then the Americans, Julia, check this out. The American guy, this guy from Minnesota, who's famous for his red headband, as if you need that in the curling rink.
Yes.
And his name is Aiden something or another. This guy, watch him mock the Canadians. He releases his stone, and then he gives that, I'll do that again. He gives that, watch it, when he gives a little extra air boop.
Yeah.
That's Olympic curler Aiden Oldenburg from, I think he's from Minnesota, spoofing Canada.
You said that you could touch the handle, but that was an illegal touch of the handle?
You can touch the handle until the green line. But once you get to the green line, you can't touch anything, and you can never touch the granite. Full stop.
Okay.
Boop. Goosing the rock. I like that, Clark. Julia looks cold. John Bosley. John Camp. You don't like she needs a shawl or something. She looks a little chilly there. Julia, you got your hands all up like you're chilly.
Well, I am.
Are you? In your tracksuit. You've got that big fancy brand new tracksuit on.
Yes.
And believe me, John, it's hot here in the studio. That not only is there a lot of hot air coming, but we've got more computers, and we've got more hot air coming out of all these displays, these monitors. I don't know. Pedro Foiling Sailor now is getting technical. What side of the green line? Is it like the white line? I don't know if it's like the blue line in hockey. I don't know. This is getting way too technical. But speaking of hockey, did you see on Sunday in the Olympics, Pierre Crinon from France was disqualified from the Olympics for provocative behavior. Now, Julia, do you think he got that for fighting the Canadian guy? No. The fight was perfectly okay. That comes with the territory in hockey. After the fight was over and he got sent to the penalty box, and then the referee decided to flick him to in hockey, you give a 5-minute major penalty for fighting, but you can also give somebody a game misconduct, which means you're excused from the game for further participation, and maybe suffer a penalty means you may not be able to play in the next game, depending upon the league, the rules. So this guy gets this big fight, gets in the big fight, Pierre Crinon, and then on the way out, he's getting heckled by some Canadian fans, and he flips them the bird and shouts something at them, probably, mon Dieu or something in French. Who knows what he said?
Yeah.
That's what got him flicked from the entire Olympics. He's done playing, not the fight, but because he flipped off.
Well, it's not gentlemanly. Not gentlemanly.
Well, we'd never do that in this show, right? Huh?
I don't know. I don't think we ever have.
I thought that was hilarious. But one thing that's not so hilarious, and I don't know what the implications are, our last little Olympics segment here. L.A. Mayor, this guy Casey Wasserman has gotten caught up in the Epstein files, and his name pops up all over the place, and he had some back and forth with that Ghislaine Maxwell and others. And Ghislaine, what's her name? Is it Ghislaine?
Yeah.
So Casey Wasserman has already had, because of this agency, he owns a big representative agency and Hollywood agency, and he's had to push that, sell that. But now the LA mayor is calling for him to step down as chairman of LA 2028. And I don't know if that's going to happen, but the pressure is mounting on him. And the committee itself voted last week to keep Wasserman on. But the emails with this Ms. Maxwell are, shall we say,
torrid.
Torrid, yeah. Torrid's a better word than crotonic. So I don't know if he's going to be around. And if so, if he gets the flick, I don't know if what that means with sailing and with San Pedro. There was another killing in San Pedro the other day, right there where the Olympic sailing venue or the split venue is supposed to happen. So I don't know. Jon Emmett and his wife are following that for us. This day in history, Julia, and I'm using tomorrow, the 18th, because I couldn't find anything interesting today, and I wanted to stick on our Olympic theme for a moment. What happened on this day in 18 Feb, tomorrow, it is tomorrow down under, so we can count that, in 1928.
28.
Here's your first clue.
Sonia Henning.
Well done. Bravo Zulu, Julia. That is Sonia Henning. There she is. We talked about her the other day.
Yeah.
And in the first Olympics, in the first Winter Olympics, 1924, I believe it was, remember, she competed as a 15-year-old. She was the youngest competitor, finished last, seventh or something, eighth, seventh, whatever last place was. But she came back 3-4 years later and won a gold in figure skating, female, obviously, women's figure skating, 3 Olympics in a row, the first of which happened on this day in 1928. Her first of 3 golds, and as usual, we have a video.
Oh, neat.
I'm not going to play the whole 3.5-minute video, but I mean, she's spectacularly good.
Yes, she is.
You know, you think about some sports that have come a long way in 100 years, but look at that.
Yes.
Well, the young boys liked it.
I like it. And I'm not a young boy.
I really, I went to the Calgary Winter Olympics as the guest of Paul Henderson back in 1988, I think it was. And of course, we got to know very well. We've known Claire Ferguson, Scott Ferguson's mother, who was president of the U.S. Figure Skating Association and an Olympic judge. And as Commodore Harrington says in the chat, that in those days was not called figure skating. Do you know what it was called? See in the chat? What Claire's was called?
Fancy skating.
Fancy skating. And you know who a famous early fancy skater was, who was past Commodore of the New York Yacht Club? Harry Anderson was a fancy skater.
Was he?
Yes, Locust Valley, Sewanaka Corinthian Yacht Club, Oyster Bay. He was from there, and he was a fancy skater. That's what they called it in those days before it became figure skating. She was nonetheless fabulous. But in Calgary, well, Harry was too. You knew him well. You knew your late husband. But in Calgary, you're sitting in the stands. You go to a few of these things, And after a while, the game is not just to watch the skating, but to look at the judges and to see, in those days you had the East German or were giving good scores to the Russians, or the Russians giving good scores to the East German, and there was a whole lot of political crap going on. But it was good fun because you didn't take very long for you to figure out who was pretty good in their performance and who was not so good, and then you'd boo or cheer the judges if you agreed with their scores. And you could get pretty good at predicting what the scores were going to be. With, you didn't have to be a scientist, a rocket scientist, to figure that out. But it was good fun. Amazing video. She was an awesome skater, Ryman is saying. I'm not surprised she won 3 times. Yeah.
I was wondering if the film was speeded up. Do you think?
I think some part. Well, they're at slow-mo, but I mean, to have a slow-mo film at this point, that was hard to do. Bill Haynes is saying there is controversy in Olympic skating, as well as the French judge scoring the French ice dance team. Okay, enough of that. I think we've seen enough of that. I never thought I'd play that much of this video. But it was on this day, back in 2019, 28, 100 years ago almost, 98 years ago, Sonja Henie of Norway wins the women's figure skating gold medal at the Sommeritz Winter Olympic Games, her first of 3 consecutive titles in that event. This day in history, 18 Feb 1928. Julia, our feature today is the Finn Gold Cup. It's really the month of Finn racing that's going on at the Royal Queensland Yacht Squadron. And they have had a spectacular breezy week, and the sun finally came out today. Today's day 3. Sunshine State finally warms up, warms to the Finn Gold Cup. This guy has been leading since the get-go. He's the Norwegian Anders Pedersen, fabulous sailor. For the 3rd day running, Norway's Anders Pedersen leads the Porsche Center Brisbane 2026 Finn Gold Cup. He now has 5 wins from 6 races.
Wow.
And holds a 6-point lead over the ever-consistent Alessandro Marega, who's from Italy, with Australia's Anthony Nossiter a further 9 points back in 3rd. I thought we should feature a picture of Anthony. There's Anthony Nossiter, who's in 3rd overall. He's the top Aussie in the event being held in Australia, hosted by the Royal Queensland Yacht Squadron, is in Brisbane. Tuesday marked the return of summer in Brisbane. Though many forecasts predicted a Groundhog Day, but with sunshine, it was a much nicer day than many expected, with sunny skies, rising temperatures, and a hot 12 to 15 knots of wind, despite the fleet launching into a stiff 20-knot breeze. After several days of rain and cold, the Sunshine State appears finally to have lived up to its name. And Julia, I have for you the video.
Okay.
It was a good day, you know, can't complain about that for sure. First race, it was shifty, it was back and forth. The oscillations here, there's a long time between them, probably like 15 minutes. So you just got to hang there and eventually it'll come back for you. But it was fun, you know, racing Rafa and Knocker and managing to pass them on the last downwind was pretty cool. I've been racing here. This is like my 5th regatta here, and it's always Louise who's been the race officer, and she's just awesome, you know, totally awesome. And the race management here and the facilities, second to none.
Yeah, no, it was a pretty good race. The first race today, kind of things went my way, which was good. Whenever you get a race win, it always keeps you coming back. So yeah, no, it was all good. Second race, the right didn't come in so well, so the left was pretty strong. So didn't happen twice in a row, unfortunately, but that's sailing.
Robert Deves, the Finn class secretary PR guy, does a fabulous. He takes so many of their pictures himself. He does the videos, a lot of them himself. And as Jon Emmett says, these are some big blokes. There's some big blokes in that class. And just wrap it up here with another big bloke. I believe, I'm not 100% sure. I believe that is Valerian Lebrun from France. I'm not 100% sure. But I like the picture, so I'll put it in. You can see Anders Pedersen has got a big lead. And Alessandro Morega's not too far behind, but if you look at the throw-outs and you look at the number of firsts, Alessandro, he's still in it. Anthony Nossiter, not so much in it. Rafael Trujillo is not so much in it, but Bravo Zulu to the class, Bravo Zulu to the club, to the Royal Queensland Yacht Squadron. Apparently, it's been a great month. They have one more event. They've got the Masters after this at the RQYS. Julia.
Oh, RQ. I think that would be good. RQ.
Speaking of Australians, we've got another Australian feature because we got the AAA, Australia's Alistair Murray with Alistair's awesome Aussie anecdote for today. And he's talking about the international, the ISS, the International Sailing Summit.
G'day, Tom, Julia, and all the foes. Greetings from Alistair here in Meetung, AAAA, Alistair's awesome Aussie anecdote. It's actually a bit of a coincidence, Tom, that I had this shirt on anyway before I realised that I was going to be speaking to you, but this is a bit nostalgic. It takes me back to the International Sailing Summits, the conferences that I used to run all around the world, and at which I had you participating quite a few times. We really had a great time with 15 conferences in 7 countries around the world, and it led on to the formation of the current conference that is taken over from it. And reminding of what generous support we had and from a great range of sponsors, and what a fantastic time it was. This particular one in Valencia, I remember you weren't at it because you were busy. You were busy with the America's Cup. We held this in 2007, this International Sailing Summit, in conjunction with the America's Cup, and I remember being there at a talk you gave and bringing my Sailing Summit group through. I think it was Shosholoza, one of the syndicates we visited when you were there on the day, or it might have been Oracle, I can't remember. I'm sure you could probably remind us. Look, I just wanted to keep you all up to date on the fact that there's still plenty of work going on behind the scenes for the re-inclusion of parasailing in the Olympics in 2032. I've been in constant contact with Siobhan Bruland, who's the Australian Sailing President and is a delegate to World Sailing, and also with Malcolm Page, our CEO. Siobhan's just let me know that the World Sailing Board has approved recommendations by the Para World Sailing Committee to appoint the first chair, vice chair, and members of the newly formed classification subcommittee. It's just more progress. The new body will be responsible for overseeing the global integrity and governance of the athlete classification system and will operate under the direction of the Para World Sailing Committee. There's 11 great people under the chair, Helen McKenzie of New Zealand, and we have a couple of Aussies on that as well, so they'll be really pushing for this re-inclusion. Classification is the backbone of the sport, and the formation of this subcommittee strengthens World Sailing's commitment to the expansion of parasailing participation, including in the bid to include in 2032. It's all part of the fabric. It's all part of the framework. As I said, I've been keeping on to Siobhan and Mel about how we're going and what we're hearing. The response, the latest response, is simply that the application sits with the IPC, who makes that decision, and World Sailing has not heard anything formally back from them yet. But I can tell you, all the best people on the job, particularly World Sailing under Hannah Stadl's leadership. She's doing a fantastic job bringing it all together and documenting all the activity and getting everybody on board with supplying her with all the information she needs. And certainly here in Australia, the Australian Sailing Board and all of the people involved, including at the AOC level here, are going to be pushing forward as well. So all I can say, Tom, is we're on the job. We're not forgetting. We're keeping the pressure on, but there's no real substantial news at this stage. All right, well, that's all I got. It only occurred to me to talk about the International Sailing Summit because I realised I had the shirt on. I've got some pretty old shirts, but I've got so many shirts that I rotate them through my wardrobe, and it might be 2 years before I get back to wearing one again. So they're all in good nick. They're all like new. All right, folks, that's all for now. Looking forward to the show, and particularly looking forward to the discussion about how SailGP went in Auckland. I think it's pretty clear that the SailGP team really dodged a bullet there. If the French had hit the Kiwi boat a couple of metres further back, it would have been a completely different story. It would have been an absolute disaster. So we've dodged a bullet, but let's move on and see where we go from here. I'm really in favour of that move to split the fleets because there was just too many people going too fast in too many directions, too close to each other. And I'm looking forward to participating in or being there in Sydney for SailGP Sydney and catching up with my old mate Jon Emmett. Okay, folks, that's me. Over from AAAA. Cheers. Bye.
Before I play his outro music, just a couple other points. During Friday's show, I think it was sometime last week, Jon Emmett learned and passed on, I think it was John, maybe it was Andrew Pindar, somebody passed on the fact that World Sailing has chosen the dates for their world conference, and they're doing it in China, where the Olympic sailing was held. In Qingdao, I believe, is where they're doing it. And those dates that they've chosen fall right on top of what used to be Alistair's International Sailing Summit, is now called the World Yacht Racing Forum and Met's Trade in the Netherlands, which is a big deal. Claire was there talking last year. Kayart's talked. I've talked at it over the many years. It's a gathering of not only the industry, but leaders in the sport. And World Sailing has put their meeting right on top of that. Knowing, and this thing's been scheduled for yonks, for a coon's age, as we would say in Michigan. So Alistair's disappointed. I know John's disappointed. In fact, Andrew Pindar said, replying to Jon Emmett, "It's infuriating, isn't it? Could almost feel like a deliberate act to keep people away with date conflicts with Met's Trade," which is the big trade show that goes on, sailing industry trade show, and the Yacht Racing Forum. Yeah, and John also telling us that the next edition of the Inclusive Worlds, remember they just took place in Oman, a couple months ago.
Yeah.
The next one is going to be, I think John said, tell us, remind us in the comments, John, did you say it's going to be in Portugal, the Inclusive Worlds? But a nice update from Alistair. They are continuing to keep the pressure on both in Australia and in World Sailing to try to get us reinstated. So hopefully that will happen. And there is progress being made. Dolly DeVola, and I know Claire also saw that Jazz went sailing yesterday. There was a post in her Facebook page, so we hope her health is stable, if not improving. It's, John says, yes, Inclusive Worlds in Portugal in Cascais. Okay. So Ed Worley, who knows why World Sailing would do that? I think they just figure they're more important than everybody else, and that was the date they could get the hotel. whatever hotel they're in, the ballroom, and whatever, the local officials said, well, it's got to be on this date because we got other conflicts either side. I don't know. But it really is a disappointment. And this job, these things that Alistair started, the industry, this International Sailing Symposium, he would invite people from all over the world, from people, industry insiders, senior serious people, and people from world sailing, and people who were leaders in the sport. And as he said, I went to a few of them, talked to a few of them, and they were the predecessor now to what is called the Yacht Racing Forum, that's held every year now with Metstrade in the Netherlands, and it's been a great development for the sport. Arguably more important than the World Sailing meetings themselves, and I say that as an old World Sailing delegate. Alistair Murray with his AAAA, this awesome Aussie anecdote. He's been on a roll here. He's been prolific. He's had one almost every show of late. We appreciate all of them very much, which we're a little about 20 minutes under our 2-hour target. Should we say that? Is that our target, 2 hours?
Yeah.
You don't sound enthused, Joe.
Well, I don't think we have a target.
Well, I try to get the show in under 2 hours.
Yeah.
More or less. We're to the last leg now. Here we go. And this not apropos nothing except the kid is cute. This is a fabulous event. I've never been to it. I've heard a lot about it over the years. When we lived in Spain, this has been going on for a long time. The Palamos International Optimist Trophy. They get kids from all over the world for some reason. It gets us the time of the year in February. Go to this. And yes, I did spell Johnny's name wrong in the show notes and at the starting line at the top of the show. No H. Johnny Rogers of the Royal Leamington Yacht Club won it.
Wow.
Look at the kid, how cute he is. Joining Rogers on the podium were Brazilian Manuel Braganca. I don't know how to pronounce that. Braganca. In second place, an American Briggs Kosman in third. And Julia?
Yes?
You would be disappointed.
I would.
If I didn't have a video. Rick Banner was going to love the music.
Honestly, I really just want to get in the top 20s for my finishes, and also I think the wind's probably going to pick up.
Parlant amb el meu entrenador, la vegada ara està provant i revisant tot.
Kids flying around the world, not on their own. I'm sure they've got parents and coaches and so on, and probably too much parenting and coaching probably at times, but pulling their boat out of the water, rigging their boat, adjusting their boat, going out yacht racing, going back home to school this week. That was last week, the 20 Nations Cup, the 36th edition of that event, by the way, and say, well, what'd you do last week? You were going from school. Where were you? Well, I was in Spain racing my Optimist.
Is that neat?
The first time I went to an international event, I thought I'd died and gone to heaven. And, Paul Henderson, speaking of Paul, we talk about this all the time. What a great sport. What a magnificent experience we have. We have friends, don't we, all over. Forget about the show. I mean, this is a little bit of a strange friendship, the FOSI, as a community of its own. But talk about sailing and the people we know from all the different sailing countries, and you get to meet, whether it's because you're Jon Emmett and you go to the Olympics, or you're Andrew Pindar, you're sponsoring teams, or you're Mr. Dr. Andrew McIrvin running the Maxis or the Super Maxis.
Right.
Just fabulous stuff. Yeah, it looks bloody cold there. It can be cold in Spain this time of year for sure. Nice stuff. Bravo Zoo. That's the last leg. That gets us to the D block, Julia. And your favorite guy for whiskey, Tango Foxtrot. Right?
Yes.
Now, Julia, you get your finger ready.
Okay.
You didn't see this, I don't think. But there was some discussion last night. For the Super Fozzie, on our little WhatsApp chat, I put up a draft photo and for the cover slide for this show, not only the one that goes out on YouTube and Facebook, but the one we use as the bumper between segments here on the show. So I had put the one together that we were using, featuring the fins, but then this came in from Jody, and this is some gentleman, I guess, sailing a Hobie cat in I don't know where. We don't seem to know who this person is. I don't think it's Jody, although there were a lot of jokes about it. And back came, after I put the other cover slide up to the gang and said, here's what I'm going with. Back this came, and Jody's not like this, but the picture, he said, I'm surprised that's not the cover photo. So I, of course, made a cover photo.
Send it to him.
And sent it to him. And sent it to the Super Fozzie. Hobie Worlds, Fozzie Jody Shields cracks the top 5 in the huge fleet split for safety. Chris Fury says, yeah, it's a crack crew. Chris actually saying he's definitely a plumber. Alistair Murray says, that is Jody, I swear. I don't think it is Jody. Jody claims it's him, and he port-tacked the fleet. There was a whole long, it was hilarious. A whole long thing. It may even been AI. But the winning comment of the day, Julia.
Yes.
Alan Long says, it looks like my plumber. The winning comment of the day came from Andrew Pindar, who said, no idea who it is, but on the bright side, I found somewhere to park my bike.
Oh.
Jody Shields says, it's me, I swear to God.
Last time I saw him, he looked quite fit, though.
Well, I don't know if it's him or he claims it is. I don't believe it is. I think he's making fun of all of us. But if it's him, great. If it's not, we'll never know. So, okay, Julia, get your finger ready.
Okay.
Alistair Murray says, no AI, I swear again.
All right.
I don't know. But here's one for you. Top Man, this is the luge, the doubles. Top Man, you've left the handbrake on. Bottom Man, the luge doesn't have a handbrake. Top Man, after a pause, top half of doubles luge running out of ways to explain passion for the sport to his wife. There are a bunch of others similar to it, but that one came through from none other than Mr. Doctor.
Oh, my.
Andrew McIrvin. He sent that through. This one we've run similar before, but it's funny. I mean, we've all been there, whether trying to get somebody to go on the head or getting in there ourselves. That came off. I saw that this morning on the sailing Facebook page, the big Facebook. 800, 900,000 people on the sailing Facebook page. It's a good community as well. Mom, I'm going to go out with a male friend. Be careful, boys nowadays only think about one thing. She says, sex? No. If only that were true. Ted Ryman sent that in. Speaking of Ted, he sent this one in and dedicated this to us, Julia. It's better to be the older on a sailboat.
The oldest.
Oldest, thank you, on a sailboat than the youngest at a nursing home.
No question.
Chris Fury says in that one of Jody, supposedly Jody, ostensibly Jody, got to get that slot right. Oh, God. Ted Ryman sent that in. And as usual, we like to end with Blake Middleton's All the Smartest People Sail. Sailing isn't for everybody, my dad likes to say, but it is for anybody. My dad's about to turn 93.
Wow.
And he's going strong. He works all day, every day. Jody Shields, I promise you, Tom, that is my crack. I sailed a Hobie 14 on the weekend, badly.
No kidding.
I still don't believe him, Julia. Which gets us, thank God, to the finish line,
Yes,
Julia.
it's time.
And you like to say...
Oh, yes, please, quick. Go. Like, follow, and share.
Indeed. Comments are welcome, even in replay, and we appreciate all of you so very much who give us a few bucks a month via patreon.com. Patreon.com/join/Sailing Illustrated helps keep us on the air, keep our studio. We wouldn't be able to put this on the air. We wouldn't have this equipment. We wouldn't have this nice room. We wouldn't have the Beach Street Yacht Club if it were not for the help that you give us each month with a few bucks to keep our streaming fees and equipment up to date. So thank you very much indeed. And also thanks to those who gave us audio, video, and images for today's show. Julia, final thoughts.
We have a lot to celebrate, and then there are many ways to do it this day.
Pedro Foiling, sailor Peter Stevenson, you need to wax, Jody. Alan Long, cracking good show. See you all. Thanks for another cracker of a show, Tom, Julia, and Jody. That's from Alistair Murray. Oh, my God. You all are too much. We appreciate and love all of you. Thanks for joining us today. We'll hope to see you on Friday, same time, same channel. In the meantime, sail fast, sail safe, and have fun. Ciao for now.